In Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, recently elected presidential candidate, received the leadership baton of the Morena Party from President and leader of the Fourth Transformation Movement, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. The Venezuelan president, Nicolás Maduro Moros, arrived in the city of Shenzhen, where he began a historic visit to the People's Republic of China. And in the Caribbean, Hurricane Lee gained strength as it moved towards the Lesser Antilles and reached a Category 5. Hello from the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. This is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, in this RG News. An unprecedented outbreak of avian influenza has been recorded in Argentina, where the disease affects dozens of sea lions, and in the event of mutations of the virus, there could be a risk of contagion for humans. Since these mammals live in the wild, they can neither be isolated nor vaccinated. The authorities decided to close the access to the beaches to reduce the risk of spreading the disease. So far, Mar del Plata, authorities have confirmed the death of at least 80 sea lions that used to inhabit during a season in the port of this Argentine city. It is suggested that the contact of the sea lions with the fecal matter of migratory birds was the cause of a massive contagion, which had previously registered peaks of infections on the beaches of Chile and Peru. Peruvian archaeologists discovered the mummified remains of an adult individual from the pre-Inca Xisma culture, buried in a residential neighborhood in Lima. According to archaeologist Mirela Ganoza, the remains were found alongside ceramic vessels, textiles, and other objects in the Huaca Pucllana site in the middle of Lima's affluent Miraflores district. The specialist informed that the mummy lived possibly as long as a millennium ago at the beginning of the Xisma culture, then developed on the central coast of modern Peru during a period of social reorganization prior to the arrival of the Incas to the area. Mummies and ancient offerings are already being found in the Huaca Pucllana site, and experts see the site as a Pandora's box with much more to be found. Let's move on to other topics. On Thursday night in Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, recently elected presidential candidate, received the leadership baton of the Morena Party from the president and leader of the Fourth Transformation Movement, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. At the doors of the Porrua bookstore in the historic center of Mexico City, the baton was passed to the winner of the survey, who, in addition to becoming the new leader of the party, is also the candidate for the presidential elections of 2024. Hundreds of supporters gathered in the area where the new head of the organization pledged, in the company of the country's president and governors, to represent the profound values of the country and its history. In addition to the high prices of the basic food basket, Costa Ricans will have to pay more for fuels in an increase that begins on Thursday. According to the Public Services Regulatory Authority, the price adjustment will be automatic. Super gasoline will go from $1.30 to $1.40, prices that, according to records, have not been experienced in the country since November 2022. Regular gasoline will also have an increase of $0.10 or 10 cents of dollars per liter, while diesel will rise $0.08 and, according to the entity, will reach $12.79, while liquefied gas will go to $11.92. Citizens consider that the increase will have a direct impact on inflation, so they are waiting for the decisions to be made in the parliament together with the Ministry of Finance. The Colombian ambassador to Venezuela, Milton Rengifo, announced that the opening of the Colombian consulates in the country will be formalized in the next few days. During a press conference, the Colombian diplomat informed that the consulates will be located in Maracaibo, Zulia State, and San Cristobal in Táchira State. The consulate in Maracaibo will open its doors on Monday, September 11th, while the one in San Cristobal will open on September 25th. Furthermore, Rengifo indicated that consular services will be progressively resume normality, as has occurred with the Colombian consulate in Caracas. At the same time, he expressed that before the end of the year, the consular office located in the Venezuelan capital will offer all its services with normality. The Venezuelan president, Nicolás Maduro arrived on Friday in the city of Shenzhen, where he began a historic visit to the People's Republic of China. In the middle of a heavy downpour, the Venezuelan head of state was received at the international airport of Bo by the Deputy Secretary of the Communist Party of China, Meng Fangli, the Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs, Hua Chunying, and Giuseppe Gioffreda, the ambassador of the Bolivarian Republic in China. The visit, which aims to strengthen ties of integration and strategic alliances in the economic, technological, and commercial area, has been described by the head of state as historic. Also, Beijing, upon confirming the arrival of the president, assured that the relations they maintain are solid as a rock. Venezuela's Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez met with the Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs Wang Yi in Beijing on Thursday as part of her work agenda during her official visit to the Asian nation. At the meeting held at the Great Palace of the People, the two officials reviewed the cooperation agreement between the two countries, the promotion of international economic cooperation, and other issues of mutual interests. Last Tuesday, the Venezuelan Vice President arrived in the Chinese city of Shanghai with the purpose of strengthening bilateral relations and brotherhood with the Asian nation. And for Venezuelans, after being hit by sanctions and military threats, daily life was full of twists and turns. That's why, back in 2019, with artisanal skills, an engineering degree, and a family to provide, Rodolfo started quail breeding together with his wife, Jennifer, as a way to guarantee protein supply for themselves in the midst of the scarcity. As time went by, quails multiplied, and with them, a small but fruitful business grew as well. Our colleagues Adriana Ciori and Luis Horacio Gutierrez went to their urban farm in Caracas and brings us their story in a new episode of the series Venezuela on the Move. Let's see.
He is a communication engineer, but this path does not lead to his office. This time he is entering the world of birds. Now he takes it as his vocation. But this was not the case when he started in 2019.
The crisis led us to activate our imagination, to see how to find a solution to the different problems that we were facing in terms of food and the economy. And also, at that time, there was the risk that Venezuela was going to be invaded, that it was going to enter into conflict. So one also looked for a way to project oneself, to plan on how to seek refuge in a style of production that will allow subsistence. At a time of conflict or at the time of any of the different crises that one could be experiencing.
He used his knowledge to his advantage.
I made this incubator from recyclable material.
It is a styrofoam cooler. He put fertile quail eggs inside and the first 30 hatched. Now they have more than 150. His wife is in charge of the care and advertising for sales, which she does from her home using social networks.
We took chances, investigated, studied, through trial and error. It made us want to keep moving forward and not to give up for the family and for the children. Our path has not been easy. It's like everything. We have had stumbles, we have had difficulties, falls, losses. But the point is to continue, to persevere, to fight, to have constancy, discipline, and not give up.
Production advanced, and each animal lays around 30 eggs per month, some of which are donated as a contribution.
He helps the community, especially me. I don't buy them. He gives them to me, donates them for my daughter who is sick. So I don't buy them, but I know they are expensive.
In many countries, they are considered a treat. They are smaller than chicken eggs, but they have more proteins, twice as much iron, and cost fewer allergies.
You can find more episodes of our series Venezuela on the Move on YouTube and other platforms. Now let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In the Caribbean, Hurricane Lee gained strength as it moved towards the Lesser Antilles and reached Category 5, with winds that could reach a maximum of 257 kilometers per hour. The National Hurricane Center's latest report placed the cyclone 1,127 kilometers east of the northern Leeward Islands, a group of islands in the Lesser Antilles. Experts predict Lee to register its maximum intensity with strong waves and tidal currents over the weekend and then move into the southwest Atlantic. The powerful hurricane will generate large storm surges and dangerous undertows that will affect the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, La Española, and Bermuda. And the consequences of climate change continue to wreak havoc, with at least a dozen people killed by heavy rainfall in Europe. In Spain, the Dana weather phenomenon has left 5 people dead and 3 missing, with Madrid and Castilla being the regions most affected by the floods and the rainfall. Likewise, Greece, Bulgaria, and Turkey recorded at least 5 deaths due to heavy rains and severe flooding in Greece. In the last decade, the number of fatalities as a result of the floods, droughts, and storms increased 15 times in the most vulnerable regions. In other topics, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived on Friday to head Moscow's G20 summit delegation, taking in from the President Vladimir Putin. In statements to the press upon arrival, Lavrov stressed Moscow is working closely with all G20 countries to find solutions to international issues. The foreign minister said the Ukraine conflict has provoked and remains instigated by the Americans or the U.S. to the detriment of the European security. The G20 Leaders Summit will be held in New Delhi on September the 9th to the 10th, with more than 30 heads of state and top officials from the European Union, invited guests, countries, and 14 heads of international organizations expected to attend. The G20 summit falls in line with BRICS summit in August in Johannesburg, South Africa. And the UK Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi told an international media outlet that his country, since taking over the leadership of the G20, has focused on people-centered management to ensure that actions reach everyone. He said that the G20 presidency strives to overcome divisions, dismantle barriers, and spread collaboration to foster a world in which unity prevails over discord. Modi noted that for the South Asian nation, this term as head of the bloc that encompasses the world's most powerful economies is not simply a high-level diplomatic effort, and reiterated that in his term he will remain committed to broadening the global table to ensure that all voices are heard and the contribution of all countries is taken into account. In Russia, on Friday, regional elections began to elect the heads of more than 80 regions, according to the Central Election Commission. Ella Pamfilova, chairwoman of the commission, informed at a press conference that senior officials will be directly elected in 21 regions and 20 administrative subjects, in addition to deputies of legislative bodies. Also, 17 regions will hold municipal elections, including for the mayor and governor of Moscow, the capital of the country. The electoral authority also explained that the region divisions next to Russia last year will take part in the process. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service stated that Washington is not satisfied with the change of power in Niger, while the U.S. intelligence agencies are discussing the possibility of assassinating the leaders of Niger's new government. The Russian authorities claim that the White House is studying different options regarding the situation in Niger and considers the assassination of the new Nigerian leadership, which is largely supported by the population, to be the most effective option. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service also highlighted that in the face of unexpected and unrewarding geopolitical turmoil in Africa, the White House decided to revert to the old recipes that, according to them, proved to be effective, asserting that Washington's use of such dirty tactics is nothing new. And TeleSUR English launches its own videos on demand site for you to go and revisit our interviews, the top stories, the special broadcastings, and more. Just go to the top left corner in our website homepage and click on the video option to access our VOD platform. And now we will have a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. African states in Kenya propose a global tax on carbon as a means to combat climate change. The proposal was made through a document signed by leaders from all over Africa, representing at least 1.3 billion inhabitants of that continent. The text intends to implement a tax on fossil aviation and maritime fuels. It also urges the world's largest greenhouse gas generators to commit their resources to help the poorest nations to mitigate the effects of the climate crisis. Niger's ruling junta has decided to increase the price of uranium for sale by a factor of 250. From now on, the country, which is a crucial player in the world's uranium scene and markets, will charge 200 euros per kilogram. Before, Niger, which historically had its best buyer in France, sold a kilogram of uranium for 0.80 euros. This momentous move will not only have a strong impact on the local economy, but also on the global uranium market and international relations. According to data from Euratom, the European Atomic Energy Community, uranium from Niger accounts for a quarter of imports for Europe's nuclear power plants. On Thursday, the government of the Democratic Republic of the Congo raised to 51 the death toll after protests against the United Nations mission in North Kivu. The Interior Minister, Peter Kazari, explained that last week a local armed group called for an unauthorized protest against the mission, which was repressed for undermining public order, after the demonstrators allegedly killed a policeman by stunning. In the investigations, the authorities arrested 2 senior military officers for the wounded and deceased. 140 others are being tried by the Military Prosecutor's Office for conspiracy to commit crimes and participation in an insurrectional movement. On Wednesday, a UNICEF report stated that a record number of children from Latin America and the Caribbean are leaving their homes in search of a better life, risking disease, injury, and abuse. In the first 6 months of 2023, over 40,000 children crossed the dangerous Darien jungle, separating Central and South Africa, indicating the total number is likely to be much higher at the end of the year. UNICEF Regional Director Gary Connell said in a statement that gang violence, instability, poverty, and climate-related events are alarmingly gripping the region and pushing more children from their homes. According to UNICEF, children represent a total of 25% of migrants in the region, and children under 11 make up nearly 91% of the displaced children in Latin America and the Caribbean. Connell urged the international community to commit to a stronger humanitarian response, as well as the expansion of safe and regular migration pathways for children and families to help protect their rights and their future.
Are now migrating within Latin America and the Caribbean at an unprecedented rate, constituting a larger share of the migrant population than any other region worldwide. The situation confronting children on the move in Latin America and the Caribbean is unparalleled in its complexity and scale. demanding immediate attention and decisive action.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.